Hi, I'm Dr. Camden Brown. I'm an orthodontist, and today I'm going to talk to you about gratitude, what it is, why it's important, and what to do when you feel like you can't access it. Now, this is my take as a high achiever who felt like I couldn't access gratitude and now can. So there was a time in my life when it felt very difficult. I had a lot to feel grateful for: a successful practice, income, 2 beautiful children, loving husband, renovated house. But I felt rushed, exhausted, and like my nervous system was constantly on edge. And when I had free time, I felt like I couldn't sit still and enjoy the moment. And deep down, I knew that there was a version of me that was not high strung. And I would tell my husband, she is in there. So can you relate to this? Have you been there? Or maybe are you there now? Let's talk about gratitude. What is it? Gratitude is noticing, appreciating, and feeling the value of what is good or meaningful in your life, both big and small. And in the book, Build the Life You Want by Arthur Brooks and Oprah Winfrey, they explore the negativity bias. And this is our brain's tendency to focus on what's wrong. And they say that gratitude is the antidote to this human tendency towards negativity bias. They emphasize that it is not just a feeling, but also a life practice. So it's something that we have to actively engage in on a daily basis. To say this another way, gratitude is a daily practice in which we orient towards what we appreciate about our lives, and this improves our feeling of happiness and our physical well-being. So what's happening in your brain when you engage in a gratitude practice and you orient towards what you appreciate? The medial prefrontal cortex, which is part of the brain's reward system, is being activated. And in this, it builds resilience, it deepens our connection with others, lowers our blood pressure, and supports lasting happiness. And this is proven in research. In a 2018 study, psychologists studied the impact of a daily gratitude practice on overall happiness. They had a control group that didn't write about what they were grateful for, and they had another group that did. And what they found was amazing. Those that engaged in a daily practice experienced 5 times more positive emotion than the control group. So beautiful. We know that gratitude is the practice of orienting towards what we appreciate and what is good in our lives. And we know it activates the reward center in the brain. We know it's awesome for our well-being, our mental health, and our physical health. So now I'm going to tell you how you can practically implement gratitude on a daily basis. First, Arthur Brooks recommends journaling about what you're grateful for. And by doing so, it's going to help orient your awareness towards the good in your life and move it away from that negativity bias that we already talked about. He also recommends doing this in the present moment. So if you're having a meeting and you're feeling stressed or anxious, something bad about it, you can think about something you're grateful for, even if it has nothing to do with the meeting, and it's going to have a positive effect on your happiness and the way that you go into that meeting. I've never tried this, but this is an amazing technique and I'm excited to test it out. The other thing he recommends is that you imagine your own death. And in a study in 2011, they found that when people vividly imagined their demise, their sense of gratitude increased by 11%. Now, I realized I use a gentler version of this on a daily basis. So when my kids ask me to tuck them in, sometimes I'm really tired, and I remind myself there will be a day when they won't ask me this anymore. And just having that simple thought often shifts me into a new mindset, and I can move from frustration to presence and gratitude. I also try to orient towards it throughout the day, and I do this by noticing small joys, and I call this my rich life. I talk about it a lot in my coaching, and I believe it's available to everyone. So it often looks very simple. Thank you for this coffee, these birds, this nourishing food, all the tiny glimpses of wonder and joy that surround us. And it's really just about pausing and noticing them. But next I want to talk about what's happening when you don't feel grateful and you can't seem to access it no matter how hard you try, even though you feel like you should. And there was a time when I felt like this. And that brought me a lot of shame and frustration. I believe that when our nervous system is stressed, gratitude becomes very challenging. And during those times, we lose access to the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that can connect, reflect, and orient to the bigger picture. And it took me a while after selling my practice and slowing down to start to really significantly reorient towards gratitude. And now I believe that this is directly correlated with my nervous system. So I had to spend a lot of time practicing how I could get into a more grounded state, how to access flow and creativity. And this is why nervous system support is a really core part of my coaching. So when a client comes to me and they say, I feel disconnected from gratitude, I know that it doesn't mean something's wrong with them. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have a beautiful life, but it is a sign. It is something that is asking for change. It's a light shining on it. So this is what I do with clients when they're struggling to feel gratitude. We slow down. We peel back all the extra events that are filling their schedule, all the shoulds about what they think they need to be doing and the beliefs about who they think they need to be. And we do this so that we can move from that state of exhaustion and rushing and stress to connection, presence, and the richness of life and work. And over time, because it does take time, I see my clients blossom again, the color reemerging, the light shining again. And this work is especially potent in moments of career transition or deep change. When everything feels uncertain, returning to the body, and gratitude can change everything. So I invite you to take a moment and reflect. What are you grateful for? It might be people, places, little moments, memories, connections, things that are big or really small. And maybe take a moment and close your eyes and see if you can imagine it and really feel it in your body. And if this is challenging, you may want to ask yourself, is this a sign of something? Maybe a need for support or a shift, a change that this moment in your life is asking of you. If you're interested in learning more about me, you can check out my website, drcamdenbrown.com. Wishing you a beautiful day.